So picture this. It's 2 in the morning.
Oh, we've all been there.
Right. You're lying in bed, and the blue light of your phone is just illuminating your face in the dark.
Yep.
And the thing is, you feel fine, like rested even. But you are scrolling through this wellness app that says your sleep score is a 72. And in these bright orange letters, it's just screaming at you, needs improvement.
A 72 is basically a failing grade to these apps, yeah.
Exactly. Or, maybe you're lying there realizing you technically failed your parenting goals for the day because you only logged 12 out of 20 reading minutes on some family app.
I even know.
Right. Even though your kid just spent 20 minutes telling you this, hilarious, completely unprompted story about a squirrel wearing a tiny hat.
Which is amazing.
It is. But according to the app, you failed.
Right. You've essentially failed the dashboard's metric, even though you just experienced this deeply human, wonderful moment. The app is binary. I mean, it's just data. But human life just isn't.
Yeah, exactly. And I bring this up because today we are doing a deep dive into Steve Zimkowski's 2026 book, The Unmeasured Life.
Such a fantastic book.
It really is.
Yeah.
And our mission today is to figure out how we accidentally turned our lives into a quantified project.
Yeah.
We want to understand why this invisible scoreboard is leaving us so uniquely exhausted and how to reclaim the parts of our lives that simply cannot be measured.
Which is arguably the most important part.
Yeah. So to you listening out there, if you've ever closed a productivity or a wellness app and felt honestly more depleted than when you opened it, you're in exactly the right place today.
You definitely are.
Okay, let's unpack this. Zimkowski talks about how these innocent little tracking apps, the ones that, originally just gave us a little buzz to stand up or drink a glass of water.
Or get the simple stuff.
Yeah, but how they've morphed into this relentless, invisible scoreboard. And he points out this shift, which I thought was crazy. We used to just feel standard episodic guilt when we messed up.
Yes, the old-fashioned guilt.
Right, you make a mistake, you feel bad about it, you apologize, you fix it.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
But now it's not episodic. It's this ambient, quiet epidemic of should.
The should has become completely atmospheric. It's the air we breathe now. There's this example from the text, a man named Marcus.
Oh, the morning routine one.
Yeah, Marcus hears this indictment before his feet even hit the bedroom floor. So he wakes up, feels pretty good, stretches, but his phone immediately sends a push notification.
Right.
It says 6.2 hours of sleep. And instantly, the whole narrative of his morning changes.
He immediately feels tired.
Exactly. Because he should have slept more. He should have avoided screens after 9 p.m. He should have done his breathing exercises. So by the time he's just pouring his morning coffee, the shoulds have piled up into this mountain of low-grade failure.
Which is so bleak.
Yeah.
And this creates what Zimkowski calls the data double. I found this concept, honestly, completely terrifying, but also so spot on.
Oh, it's brilliant.
It's this clean, hyper-trackable rival version of yourself that lives entirely on your phone's servers. And the data double has, absolutely no messy feelings, no bad days, no complex emotional needs. It just has output.
Right. What's fascinating here is how the self-tracking industry intentionally relies on that dynamic. They want to atrophy what Zimkowski calls our inner ear.
Yes, the inner ear.
And because if you think about the psychological mechanism at play, our data double starts to hold more authority than our actual physical sensations.
Which is wild when you really think about it.
It is. Because when your body says, hey, I feel rested, but the app says your sleep score was poor, we've literally been trained to trust the algorithm over our own nervous system.
I have absolutely experienced this. I mean, I can wake up feeling amazing, look down at my wrist, see a low recovery score, and instantly feel physically fatigued.
Your brain just rewrites it.
Yeah, my brain rewrites my biological reality to match the data. It's as if we've installed a smart fridge for our soul, right? And instead of just checking if our stomach is growling, we sit around waiting for a push notification to tell us if we are hungry.
Oh, that's a brilliant way to look at it, the smart fridge for the soul. And to take that further, when the Wi-Fi goes down on that fridge, you starve.
Right.
Even if there's an apple sitting right in front of you on the counter. Because you've outsourced your internal cues to an external dashboard.
You literally don't know how to feed yourself anymore.
Exactly. And that creates a very specific kind of hollow existential depletion, We aren't just physically exhausted from a hard day's work anymore. We are existentially exhausted because the goalposts never actually move.
They multiply.
Yes, they multiply. You are kept in this perpetual beta version of yourself. You are always just one software update, one better metric away from being acceptable.
Wow. Wait, so if my body feels fine, but the app says my sleep is poor, my instinct as, a high achiever is to try and fix my sleep data. So I'm literally trying to optimize biological function like it's a software patch.
Precisely. And that instinct right there is what Zimkowski calls the paradox of optimization.
Okay, break that down for us.
So the paradox dictates that the harder you try to optimize something for peak performance, the more you risk destroying the very thing you were optimizing for in the first place.
Hold on, I have to push back here for a second.
Sure.
Because while I get the philosophical danger, right, these trackers have literally saved lives.
Absolutely.
People discover heart arrhythmias because their watch alerted them. Or, people lose dangerous amounts of weight because they finally have a clear metric of their daily movement.
Mm.
So if I don't measure my habits, how do I know I'm not just stagnating? Isn't this tracker just a neutral tool?
That is a really important defense, and it's exactly why these apps have become so universally adopted, right? They are incredible diagnostic tools.
Right.
But Zimkowski's argument isn't that data is inherently evil. The danger lies in the seamless substitution of meaning. We start out using the tool to serve our life, but very quickly our life becomes a vehicle to serve the tool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You start tracking your sleep so you can feel rested, but eventually you are just sleeping to get a high score. The substitution is so seamless we don't realize the tool has become the master.
Okay, so the tool doesn't just measure the behavior, it colonizes the reason we do it.
Exactly. There's a story in the sources about a woman named Aya that illustrates this perfectly.
The cooking one.
Yes, she absolutely loved cooking. It was her sanctuary, right? No deadlines, no spreadsheets, just pure sensory joy.
Yeah.
Then she downloads a nutrition tracker to, optimize her health, and suddenly chopping a simple red bell pepper becomes a macronutrient math problem.
Ugh, that sounds exhausting.
It was. The numbers literally ate the joy out of the experience.
Or consider the heartbreak of optimizing parenting. I think this was the one that hit me hardest. You're rushing through a bedtime story, right? Reading faster and faster just to hit the 20-minute metric on your parenting app.
To check the box.
Right. And meanwhile, your child stops you to have this spontaneous, wonderful conversation about a picture of a dragon on page 3.
Right, but the dragon conversation doesn't count as reading time on the app.
Exactly. So you actively ignore your kid. You shut down their imagination just to hit the goal on your phone. It's wild. You are destroying the connection to optimize the metric of connection.
It really is tragic, and Zimkowski uses a profound philosophical concept to explain the why behind this. He calls it the category error.
The category error.
Right, because optimization requires measurement, right?
Sure.
And measurement, by its very nature, requires reduction. You have to reduce a complex reality into a finite number.
You have to flatten it.
You flatten it.
Mhm.
But things like presence, rest, and love, they are not quantities, they are qualities. Measuring them fundamentally changes their nature. You cannot track a moment of awe and keep it whole at the same time. The very act of observing and quantifying the awe splits it. You've introduced an observer into a deeply intimate moment, even if that observer is just, a piece of software on your wrist.
So we are producing an incredible amount of data, but we are actually generating less life.
That's the crux of it. The optimization is breaking our actual lived experience.
Okay. So if this invisible scoreboard is actively fracturing our reality, how do we fight back? Because the source material is very clear about this. We don't need a new, better metric.
No, more metrics won't save us.
Right. We need a countermeasure.
A sacred countermeasure, to use the book's term.
Yeah.
And it starts with realizing what the battlefield actually is. Our attention is our first and most valuable treasure.
Yeah.
And these apps aren't just passively tracking behavior, they are actively harvesting your attention and redirecting it back to their interfaces.
Right. There's that fascinating example of a woman named Priya.
Oh, the meditation streak?
Yeah, she has a 23-day meditation streak on her mindfulness app. And one evening, she's sitting on her back porch, watching the sky turn copper as the sun sets, and she feels deeply, profoundly at peace for like 40 minutes.
Just pure presence.
Just pure presence. But her app gives her a 0 for the day
Yeah.
because she didn't open the interface and meditate the exact way it wanted her to.
Which brings us to a really liberating concept, the principle of incompleteness.
I love this part.
It's great. The digital dashboard always demands a closed loop. It wants a finished task, a filled ring, a checkbox. But the radical idea here is that an unfinished life is not a deficit.
Right.
It's actually a design feature. It provides what Zimkowski calls breathing room. If we connect this to the bigger picture, human development, the soul, if you will, doesn't develop in a straight linear line on a graph.
It's not a spreadsheet.
No, it spirals, it doubles back, it sheds old versions of itself.
So a period of grief or, just a week of deep stillness where you don't accomplish anything tangible that looks like a massive zero on a productivity dashboard.
Completely blank.
Right, but psychologically and emotionally, it could be a period of profound transformation.
Precisely. Growth isn't always accumulation. Sometimes growth is deliberately leaving things undone so that life has room to happen in the margins. It's the spontaneous conversation with a neighbor that delays your run. It's the hour you waste staring out a window that, subconsciously leads to a creative breakthrough at work.
So basically, the dashboard treats us like a construction project that needs to be finished and signed off by a foreman.
Yes.
But we were actually more like a garden. You don't stand over a tomato plant with a clipboard complaining about its daily output. You just tend the soil.
I love that. I really do. And to take that garden metaphor a step further, the dashboard treats us entirely like the harvest.
Oh, interesting.
Right. It only cares about the yield. But human psychology, our actual felt experience, is the soil. If you don't leave the soil alone to lie fallow and unmeasured occasionally, it completely loses its nutrients. You get a great harvest for one season, and then the ground just goes dead.
That makes so much sense. But understanding this philosophically is one thing. Living it is another.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, my phone is practically glued to my hand all day. How do we actually unmeasure our lives when the soil is constantly being pinged with notifications?
Well, the text outlines what it calls the unmeasuring method. It's full of these practical rebellions.
Practical rebellions. I like that.
And the most jarring of these is the digital fast. 7 days, absolutely zero trackers.
7 days.
7 days, no sleep scores, no step counts, no billable hour timers, no caloric tracking. You turn off the invisible scoreboard entirely.
See, I actually tried turning off my fitness tracker for a weekend once, and I felt this bizarre, pulsing anxiety.
It wasn't freeing.
No, it wasn't freeing at first. It actually felt like my morning walk didn't count. The watch didn't log it. It was terrifying.
And you are not alone in that. That's the exact free fall Liam experiences in the sources.
Liam, the designer, right?
Right. When Liam tries this, he realizes his attention is suddenly entirely unclaimed. And he's sitting in his living room feeling this intense panic. Because neurologically, we are dealing with dopamine withdrawal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, our brains have become addicted to the ding of the closed loop, the completion of the metric. When you remove it, the brain's inner ear is wildly off balance. It's just screaming for the validation of the measurement.
But once you get through that withdrawal, the sensory world kind of comes back online. Like Camila, a nonprofit director in the book.
Yes, her story is great.
She goes for a run without tracking her pace, and for the first time in years, she actually notices the smell of blooming jasmine on her route. She didn't even know it was there.
Because she wasn't constantly looking at her wrist to check her split times.
Exactly.
Once the brain stops looking for external validation, it redirects that attention to internal and environmental awareness. That's why, after the fast, Zimkowski recommends implementing the 3-question check-in.
How does that work?
You basically replace the evening metric review with 3 simple questions. What did I notice? What did I feel? What surprised me?
I loved the example of Amir doing this. He put his phone away, stopped tracking his evening productivity, and during the check-in, he realized his daughter's laugh had actually changed.
It had deepened, right?
Yeah, it had deepened.
Yeah.
And he'd never tracked types of laughter before because an app can't quantify that.
And what's crucial about that check-in is that 3rd question, what surprised me? Think about how algorithms work.
They predict things.
Right. They are predictive engines. They can predict your mood based on your scrolling. They predict your purchases, your sleep cycles, but they cannot predict surprise.
Wow.
Surprise is the one human emotion that completely defies algorithmic capture. So focusing on it trains your brain to value the useless, unquantifiable, vital moments of your day.
Which leads right into the next rebellion. Permission to be inefficient.
Oh, this is a tough one for a lot of people.
It is. This is about deliberately scheduling 15 minutes of pure wasted time. Elena does this in the book. She just sits in her yard doing absolutely nothing, and for the first time, all spring, she hears the bees buzzing in her lavender.
Just letting the soil rest.
Exactly. Or Priya, from the meditation example earlier, she lets a parenting moment go completely unoptimized. She just sits silently with her teen son in the car, not probing, not trying to achieve quality time, until he organically opens up about wanting to switch schools.
Right, she gave the moment breathing room. And then there's the countermetric journal.
Oh, Daniel the therapist.
Yes, Daniel decides to log a failed attempt at baking a sourdough brick.
A literal brick.
A literal inedible brick. But instead of jumping online and researching what went wrong to optimize the next loaf, he just chooses to laugh with his partner about it.
He lets it just be a funny failure.
Exactly. And the text makes it clear these exercises are going to be uncomfortable. They act as deliberate encounters with wastefulness. They force us to unclench mental muscles we've held incredibly tight for years.
So what does this all mean? When you strip all the numbers away, what happens in that void? Doesn't it feel terrifying to suddenly not have a map for your own day?
Oh, absolutely. The void is terrifying at first, which leaves us staring down a pretty harsh reality.
Which is,
That relapsing back into measurement is practically guaranteed. The world really wants us to stay on that scoreboard. The text explicitly warns about the seduction of the new metric.
here's where it gets really interesting to me. It's like the billion-dollar wellness industry knows we're tired of the harsh numbers and the red needs improvement alerts. So they adapt.
They pivot.
They pivot. They paint the dashboard in these soothing pastel colors. They change the terminology to, holistic integration or gentle noticing. But it's still just a cage made of softer metal. You're still being judged by an algorithm.
That is such an accurate way to put it. A cage made of softer metal. Elena falls for exactly this trap later in the book.
Oh, right. The baby app.
Yeah, she downloads a new baby sleep app specifically because it was marketed as gentle noticing and anti-optimization. But the moment her baby scores a 6.2 on their sleep rhythm, she immediately spirals into shame.
Of course she does.
The packaging changed, but the category error remained. Or take Miguel. Miguel has one bad day today on a Tuesday, and by Wednesday, he's punishing himself.
By downloading more apps.
Exactly. He downloads 3 brand new productivity apps and sets this punishing 5 a.m. wake up.
The shame spiral is real.
Okay.
And it's not just an internal battle. The social pressure is immense.
Well, for sure.
Keisha's a great example of this. She's sitting at her book club, holding a glass of wine, feeling totally exposed and lazy because everyone around her is trading sleep scores and cognitive load data like they're trading baseball cards.
It's become a currency.
It has. She feels like she's failing at life simply because she isn't measuring it.
And if you make it past the shame spiral and the social pressure, there's the ultimate hurdle, the crisis of meaning.
This is what Jamal went through.
Right. Jamal experiences this vast, directionless emptiness without his numbers. He says he feels like a sailor without stars.
Wow.
The metrics gave him a false sense of purpose, and without them, he's lost. So this raises an important question. How do we handle the slip-up? When we crave the numbers again, what do we do?
Right, because we will slip up. We live in a modern world. You can't just throw your phone in the ocean.
As much as we might want to,
Right.
we will definitely slip up. And the answer Zimkowski provides is the practice of gentle return.
Gentle return.
Yes. When you catch yourself being seduced by the new pastel metric, or when you find yourself in that shame spiral, the key is not to punish yourself.
You don't double down on discipline.
Exactly. You simply recognize the seduction, you delete the app without fanfare, and you accept that the feeling of a void that Tara Jamal felt is actually just the necessary quiet before you find your own internal compass again. You just take a breath and say, I'm back now.
It all really comes back to a core identity shift, doesn't it?
Right.
We have to move from viewing ourselves as a project to be managed to a person to be experienced.
Beautifully said.
A person is a complex, breathing ecosystem, not a quarterly earnings target.
Exactly. And the stakes for making that shift are incredibly high. At the end of our lives, the legacy of the unoptimized life is the only thing that actually remains. It's the ultimate eulogy test.
I love that framing, the eulogy test.
Yeah.
Because, nobody at your funeral is ever going to stand up and mention your resting heart rate of 58.
No.
They aren't going to talk about your inbox zero streaks or your cognitive load data. They will remember the weight of your presence. They'll remember those deeply inefficient, unlogged afternoons on the porch and the beautiful, immeasurable messiness of how you love them.
Because those are the only things that cannot be automated, quantified, or replaced. The legacy of a life not optimized isn't a completed project with a perfect score. It's a fully inhabited existence.
So, to you listening, Try closing your mental spreadsheet today. Walk outside without a step goal. Let your phone die and just, don't rush to charge it. Drink a cup of coffee without logging the intermittent fast.
Just inhabit the moment. Let it be enough that you experienced it without needing software to validate that it happened.
And I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over today. If you strip away the numbers, the apps, and the invisible scoreboard, and you are alone in the quiet with just your felt self, whose definition of a good life are you actually living? The algorithms or yours? Because if you can't measure your joy, you are the only one who can truly verify it exists. Think about that the next time you're lying in the dark at 2 a.m., tempted to check if a glowing screen thinks you're doing a good job at being alive.